Oh, here we are. Oh, welcome, guys. Welcome to our Thursday night live stream. Of course, this is our channel member one. Normally I come, I've got a topic all prepared because you guys let me know what it is you want me to cover. Well, this time around, you guys got nothing. You had nothing. So I'm really enjoying the office hours. So I thought, let's just turn this into an office hours. Let's just chill. We'll chill together. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Um, I'm pretty, uh, I'm pretty good on this one. We can do anything. We can do anything for sure. And I noticed Jonathan. Oh, I got a question. I do have a question. I have heard, I heard somebody say once on another YouTube channel that if you turn the ads off, they're still forcing ads on you. Now, I think that might be the case if you are, if it's a public video, but with a private one like this, I want to know if any of you are seeing ads because I've had ads turned off for all of these. And we're only talking about when I go live. Like, if I release it a year later, I turn on the ads. But I just want to know because if YouTube is still forcing you to watch ads and not giving me a cut, well, we might change the way I do that. I might just turn the ads on in that case. But I have a feeling. I think because we're private, I think we're good. I think we're good. But let me know if you're here tonight and you're seeing ads on this stream or any other. Let me know. And if you when you're watching this as well on the replay, as long as you're not watching it a year later, let me know. Let me know. I'm thinking we're good though, for sure. Jonathan, I love this about Jonathan. I love the "Am I late?" And actually, this has caught on so much that I've seen others doing it as well in here. So sometimes, Jonathan, if you're late, it's more or less you're late to ask if you're late. Anise, you are the first. Gotta love that. Oh, hey, Larry, how you doing? You had your root beer float. Check out the result. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm hoping it's a good result. Um, let's do it. Let's oops, I accidentally removed. There we go. There we go. All right, let's check out your results. Because you said that it would pump Bitcoin. All right, let's see here. Bitcoin. Oh, look at this. You got us above the you got us above the you got us above my little resistance line here. Larry, have another root beer float. Let's see if we can get this price up even higher. Oh, excuse me. I had tacos for supper, so um, I'm not even. I don't think I even need to go any further than that. I think that's all you need to know. Um, Ian, Ian says, "Okay, my girlfriend came over and I missed most of the market close. What happened today to make it so red?" Um, a little bit of fear. Big tech sell-off. We're still in the midst of that tech sell-off. Obviously, a lot of people really freaked out about AI, where AI is going, its effect on software companies. So that is definitely one of the drivers. The other driver today is yesterday's U.S. jobs reports. Because they added so many more jobs, it of course has stoked fear that there won't be a rate cut. And well, spoiler alert, there's not going to be a rate cut. Um, so the market's kind of freaking out a little bit about that. And there's also a little bit of worry as well because tomorrow is CPI day for the US. So a lot of that happening, that resulted in people shifting money from, and it's kind of interesting now too. I think because commodities are at such all-time highs, this is kind of a hypothesis here, because I was thinking like gold is typically a store of value, but why are people selling gold and moving into like healthcare? Well, I think it's because people are so worried that they're thinking even the stores of value like gold, if it's way up there, they're thinking, oh, that's going to crash too. So let's move to something that's that might be even safer. And so, companies like Eli Lilly are certainly taking advantage of that. So yeah, it's kind of a really interesting dynamic that we got kind of going on here. It's going to keep us on our toes, but you know what? That's kind of what I expected for 2026. I think 2026 is going to be, uh, well, it's going to be in part white knuckling for sure. And I think a lot of volatility along the way. Now, if you know how to play the volatility, there might be some money to be made. And speaking of that, um, I wanted, I really wanted to open an Air Canada trade today. Now I had a few trades already in process, so I'm stuck in a few trades. So I didn't have a lot of cash to deploy on Air Canada. Just before the bell, though, I think I bought 300 shares, which is really small for me. Um, but let me show you the earnings that dropped, and this is why I wanted to get in on Air Canada. So their earnings, they beat expectations by 113.60%. That's ludicrous. And they also beat revenue by 4.46, but they had a really good earnings. I have a feeling that anybody who did get in on this trade, I don't know if Tom is here, but Tom, if you got in on this, I have a feeling this could be a very interesting day. Tomorrow could be a very interesting day for Air Canada. Like I said, I grabbed 300 just quite literally before the bell, so I should at least have a little bit of profit there. We'll see how high they go tomorrow. Could they make it all the way back up to 21? They could. They could. I don't know if they will, but I think it's not outside of the realm of possibility. Let's see here. Lance says, I've caught whatever is going around making everyone sick. Tomorrow is my first day back at work. Being sick while watching your portfolio bleed sucks. Being sick is never fun. Never fun. And this is the funny thing. So, because my studio is in my house, I don't have to leave my house that much. I mean, I go out to do, yard work or to take the garbage out, all of that fun stuff. But I don't have to go out that much. Now, ironically, last year I went over to Walmart, the pharmacy there, to get a flu shot and a COVID shot at the same time. And somehow, in the process of going to get my flu shot, I managed to pick up the flu. So, go figure. I don't know. It happens, right? All right. Jen says, "Good afternoon, Candace. Do you think we are getting into bear market finally?" No, not yet, and I don't think we will. It's actually a very interesting thought. I was thinking a little bit about this earlier. So I mentioned on the stream earlier, Donald Trump, he kind of gauges the economy on the stock market. So he's kind of I think he's disconnected from the economy, but he's not disconnected from the stock market. So for him, I think keeping the stock market up is I think it's a top priority, and I think he's going to keep doing it. Now, that doesn't mean Canada can't fall into into a bear market while the U.S. stays out of it. It is possible, and it's also possible that, well, I don't even think this is the thing. Even if we started to move into bear territory, I think Trump would do something. I think he would find a way to stimulate that market. One of the ways that he's trying to do it is obviously he wants more rate cuts. So that's because that's good for the stocks. So he wants the rate cuts. He certainly didn't pick the right person to succeed Powell. That's for sure. This new guy, Kevin, he's kind of hawkish. So I'm not sure how he's going to play that. But here's the thing. From the data a year ago, we should have been in a bear market already. And sitting here now, watching the way things played out in the last year and seeing how things have begun in the beginning of this year, I kind of think it's going to get pushed. I think it's going to get swept under the rug for a while. Can Trump keep us out of a bear market until the end of his term? That's going to be a big question. I do think he can do it through 2026. Unless there's some kind of a black swan event completely out of his control, then yeah, I think we're going to be good. Now, This is me thinking that we're going to be good. I always want you to keep in mind, I could be absolutely wrong. And if I think something, so for example, when I look at my approach to the market this year, I think that there's not going to be a bear market. Does that mean I'm going to play the game like there's not going to be a bear market? No, it means that I'm going to play the game cautiously, that I'm going to take into consideration that I could be wrong. So I will always have a backup plan. And I always like to say this, if you're looking at financial strategy, have a strategy for if things go the way you think they're going to go, and have a strategy for when things decide to take that worst case scenario, because it's always good to have an idea of what that may entail. Hey, Mario. Mario is in the house with a good evening, everyone. I didn't know I won a membership. Yeah, there's been a few of them. There's been a few of them for sure. Anise. Oh, hi, Candace. Do you know what is going on with AP.UN? Um, nothing good. Nothing good. They made an announcement that they're going to basically be raising a whole bunch of money to try to pay off some of their debts. So their debt, basically, it's a debt story. Their debt's out of control. Now they're going to dilute big time to try to pay off some of the debt. Dilution, unfortunately, when you dilute, it's basically just like when we money print in the economy, it devalues the dollar. In this case, it devalues your share because there becomes more outstanding shares. The market cap doesn't go up. And that means that just the math alone means that your shares are no longer as valuable. So you automatically just lose money. You just lose money, but they get money. It's not a fun thing. That's what Air Canada did. Air Canada did that at the beginning of COVID because they needed that money to stay afloat. And that tanked their price. Like Air Canada used to be up at, I think they were up almost $50. Well, here, let me show you. And this will kind of give you I don't think it's going to be quite as bad with AP as it was with Air Canada, but this will give you kind of an idea of how it looks. So, and now we have to go to the 10-year to see the pandemic. It's hilarious. Here it is. This is the pandemic. And they, some of this was from share dilution. Air Canada had to dilute shares. So you'll notice here, they were up around $50. $50. I mean, they peaked here. Let's see, what was their high? $50, $51.08. I think yeah, that was the highest. So they peaked up at $51.08, and very soon afterwards they were $15. So Air Canada has struggled. Now, one of the things back here in one of these spikes, they actually announced share buybacks. That's the opposite. So that's the opposite of diluting shares because you're actually buying shares back. You're not putting them back in the market. You're just absorbing them. You're absorbing them back in. So that reduces the number of outstanding shares, and that will put pressure to push your price up, which is a good thing. So, Air Canada is doing a little bit. Now, obviously, the amount that they're buying back, I think it equated to about 10% at the time they announced it. It's still small compared to all of the dilution that was done here. And now this entire drop is not entirely dilution. Obviously, we had a pandemic. We had a very quick, technically, they actually call it like the shortest recession in history. So, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. All right. Ian says, I watch YouTube 16 hours a day. I pay the $17 to avoid commercials. Smart move. Yeah, if you watch that much YouTube, it's probably worth it. On a positive note, it's going to warm up a little this week. Yeah. By Monday and Tuesday here in Ottawa, we're actually going into positive territory. Not by much, but just by a tiny bit. So those might be really good days if anybody wants to get out skating on the Rideau Canal. Samantha, hey Samantha. Let's see. I'm curious for tomorrow. Will the downtrend continue? It's all going to come. We're going to know before the market opens. Our big thing right now is what's going to happen with CPI. So I believe right now, I think last month it was 2.7, and I believe they're predicting it to drop to 2.5. So if we get 2.5 or lower, so maybe 2.4, then we're probably going to have a green market. If we get 2.6, I will say red market at least for the first half of the day, maybe pushing a little bit, but with a green close. Might be red for the day though. If we go anywhere, if we match that 2.7 that we had last month, and this is the year over year CPI number, no, that's not going to be a good day. That'll be that'll be the dip continuing, and we probably will finish. Well, we probably still will finish with a red candle in that case. Now that's just based on that. Now obviously there's still some lingering stuff going on, and even if we do have best case scenario with CPI, we still have the whole issue with everybody being still a little freaked out about AI, and I don't know. I It's kind of weird. I don't know. I think it's because, I've been around technology and I love technology. So for me, I've been all on board for AI, but I understand, like, there's a lot of people, like, there's a lot of companies. Like if you had a company, let's say you worked your whole life for a company and you just develop a simple software, but you're the only one that does it. All of a sudden, you got AI coming along, and somebody, instead of buying your software, they can just drop in a prompt, and the AI can just do it for them instantly. That's kind of worrying. That's the type of thing that can put you out of business. Well, eventually put you out of business. You have to realize that not everybody has like a lot of people don't know how to make prompts. They don't know how to get AI to do what they want it to get. So there is that learning curve. That will certainly mean that your business will probably still be able to sell its product for a while. But as more and more people figure this out, then it can start to eat into your customer base, and it can spell, well, it puts you in that situation where you've got to adapt and change your product into something that AI is not doing. Otherwise, you could be in serious trouble. All right. Angelo says, what the hell is wrong with the market? Portfolio keeps going down to 5 to 10K daily every freaking day except for the odd green day. Yeah, we've been having, ever since pretty much the very end of January, we've been getting it's been a rough, volatile ride for sure. Here's the thing, don't sell. I mean, unless you've got something that you really, really have no faith in. Because if you sell, you're going to realize those losses. So that's something you definitely don't want to do. And a lot of smart investors, what they're doing at this point in time is they're averaging down. It's hard to do that. So a lot of times when you are in the market and you're looking at things being down, 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 throwing money on it almost feels like you're throwing money out the window. That's kind of the feeling that it does evoke. But it's actually quite the opposite. Because when you are buying, as the market's down in those deep, especially in deep dips, when the market recovers, that money becomes golden. It becomes very, very golden. Oops, I didn't put this up. I read it, but I didn't put it up. Sorry, Angelo. All right, Mike says, good evening, everybody. Didn't know I won a membership. Thanks. You're welcome. Yep. All right. Let's see, can people live off of funds like HHIS, Biggie, along with some safer ones too? Even if it takes years to reach new highs, the dividends still pay monthly. That's true. That's true. I always look at it this way. I still pay attention. Like with covered calls, you still want to pay attention. You want to make sure you can see what's going on. So HHIS, one of the things for me, and hopefully you've watched the video that dropped, well, it dropped today for you guys. The big thing with HHIS is I will compare it, because it's so tech heavy, I'll compare it, of course, to the NASDAQ. Now, if it's doing better than the NASDAQ, that makes me, I feel a lot better. As long as it's beating whatever exchange it most closely resembles, I want to see it beating or at least keeping pace with it. So, in a bear market, yeah, all of these funds are going to go down, but so is everything else in the market. And that's that thing you have to sort of keep in mind. So with everything being down, what can we say? What can we say? I have a funny feeling here. Uh, oh, well, you know what? I'm just was thinking, I'm looking here and I'm noticing some people who are not channel members. I'm like, did I accidentally make this public? I might have. And you know what, guys? If I made this public, don't mind me. I just have to check something for a second. If I made this public, um, that's fine. You know what? I'm not gonna take it away. If you're here, yeah, I forgot. I made it public. I made it public. But you know what? Because I made it public, I'm just gonna I'll just turn the ads back on for anybody new who comes in. So, hey, surprise everybody. You get the chill stream. You get the chill stream. Yeah, normally this is a channel member only event, but you know what? The channel members didn't have any questions. And I thought we would do kind of the office hours, the nice chill stream. Yeah, welcome. Welcome everybody. Yeah, and going back to Mike, you didn't win a membership. I screwed up. And that's I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm fine with that. Um, I know a lot of YouTubers. I've seen this happen. Other YouTubers do this, and then they go and they switch it to membership at that point. I'm like, no, no, you can't do that. I look at it this way. I made a mistake. I made it public. We're staying public. Congrats, everybody. Everybody gets a chance here. This is pretty cool. And oh my gosh, I just saw something pretty cool here. Scratch. Scratch came in and gifted 5 Mountain Finance memberships. Congratulations to the winners. I cannot see the winners. I don't have my test box up. I don't actually bring my test box up on these streams because, you know, well, this type of stuff doesn't happen. But now it has. Do you guys want goats? Is that? I normally don't have the goats ready, but we'll for Scratch. For Scratch, we'll run through the goats for Scratch because he just dropped 5. 5. That's awesome. All right, and of course this one's now number 3, our space goat. I really love the space goat. And here's our Professor Goat. And we keep going, and we get our Valentine Day goat. I love it. And you know what? I know we didn't hit 6, but let's do our Olympic goat as well. Let's do our Olympic curler. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Awesome. Yeah. And, and and you guys are probably, those of you who are not channel members are probably like, why are you so chill? Are you like are you on drugs? No, I just, the kind of goal of the office hour is to be chill. Like, you know, with the regular stream, I bring the energy, I pump it up. With these, you know, it's kind of laid back later at night. I just simply try to, we try to have a chill time, a pretty chill time. Now these only go about an hour, guys, so just letting you know, because it is, well, it is late at night. All right, now. So yeah, and here's Chad. Everybody's sort of starting to figure out. Oh yeah. All right. Ian says ap.un.to is down another 9.66%. Nice dividend. How bad is this REIT? They've got a lot of debt. Let's just take a look. Let's take a look. Let's pull it up. ap.un. Here we go. All right. I'm going to go straight into their key data here. So right here, actually, their debt's not that bad anymore. They must have paid some of it off. Right now, it's a 93% debt to equity ratio. So that's not too bad, but they're currently not making a profit. So that might be part of the problem too. So you'll notice their return on equity, negative 10.47. So yeah, that's a little bit of an issue. A little bit of an issue for sure. So I don't have a lot of faith. Like, this is one I'm not going to touch. You know, they might come back. They might be fine. But I don't know. Right now, it's not a strong sector. And here's the other thing too, just to sort of put this into perspective here. All right, here we go. When you take a look down here, actually, it's not even telling us. But they have a lot. They actually do have a lot of business style REITs. So one of the problems here is that a lot after COVID, yeah, you know what? There's been a lot of back to work, but there's also a lot of hybrid strategies. So companies are kind of getting the idea that we don't need as much office space. If we do a hybrid style, we give, even if it's like if everybody only has to come into the office twice a week, well, that person doesn't need their own desk. They can share desk with somebody else. So you can cut your office space right in half. So that is kind of one of the other drivers I think that's been sort of making things hard for AP. 300 shares. Can I borrow a few bucks? Oh boy, yeah. All right. So Ian says my portfolio lost about little over a week's gains if I'm seeing it right. Are we red for February on the TSX? We're getting close. We're getting close. Let me show you. Let's just pull this up here. Here we go. So we're right here. So this is where red. So this is the line here. So we still got a little ways to go. Like we got a bit of a buffer still. But the lead we had over the red, I mean, it's, we've erased half of our gains in this month already. So yeah, what can I say? Yeah, Ian's a great example here of people who living off of their dividends. So yeah, Ian does live off of dividends. We got bank there, ENCL, Utes, HYLD. Let's see. Lance says last year the stock market had a turnaround at the beginning of Q2. I wonder if there will be renewed optimism with a new quarter. I think Q2 and Q3 will get better, especially if the Fed cuts rates. That's a possibility. That's a possibility. I think this is going to be February definitely choppy. I think March will be choppy too, but I have a feeling that March won't be quite as choppy as February, but it'll still be kind of volatile. But yeah, I can see April going into summer being not that bad, actually. All right. And Angela saying, I have banks. Sometimes I think about switching my USCL to HYLD. I do like HYLD better personally, but I mean, USCL is still not that bad. And Lisa's saying I watch a lot of YouTube as well and also pay for the premium version. I have the premium version. I do watch, I try to watch a fair amount of my competitors, see what they're talking about, see what's going on. And let's see here. I wonder what the chances are that Google will spin off YouTube. Only if they're forced to. Only if they're forced to. Because here's one of the problems I think that Google is facing right now is that, I think they've lost a little bit of their search business to some of the other AI. So for example, things like ChatGPT. A lot of people now will just ask ChatGPT, why go to Google when you can just sort of tell ChatGPT what you're looking for? ChatGPT can bring it back, bring you up the links if you're looking for a product. So a lot of people aren't even going to Google anymore. So I think that they're getting hit there. YouTube's a different story. So YouTube is technically a search engine in many ways. But I think the fact that YouTube has got the whole video and it's got that entertainment aspect. And, I think for a lot of people, YouTube has kind of replaced television. So, that's kind of cool. That is absolutely cool. So I don't think they'll spin YouTube off. I don't think they'll have to. Let's see. Lance says, I bought more CDAY and INTI today. There are others that I am interested in, but I want to avoid unnecessary overlap. How much would you say is too much? It really depends. Like everybody has their own idea. So for me, I like to try. And the key word here is try, but I like to try to keep my sectors down to about 20%. I like to, but I'm above that right now. In fact, well here, let's go look. Let's take a look over here on Blossom. If we go to Blossom, let's see here. Here we go, Insights. All right, there we go. So yeah, right now you can see oh boy, my energy is way too high. I'm sitting at 26.4% energy. But you got to be careful. Like sometimes too, you might think, okay, well, I know how many energy ETFs I have, but you have to think. Sometimes you got other ETFs, especially cross-sector ETFs that might have some energy exposure in there as well. That's one of the reasons I do love this. Like looking at this, I know I'm a little high on energy, so I shouldn't buy any more energy this month. And this is the 0 to 100K challenge, by the way, guys. Industrial, a little high too, up around 25%. Then I got materials at 14. So the rest of these are all fine. Some of them actually, I'm kind of surprised that technology. I'm down at 3.5, and I'm always surprised when I see that. I'm like, I can't believe, because I love tech so much, I should be higher. But I know going ahead, I should not be buying anything with energy in it, or even industrial. I should be concentrating on these lower sectors. And then these will come down on their own. I'm probably not going to sell any of my energy at the moment because I do think I think it's going to have a good year. All right, let's see here. Danielle, a good evening. The market was ugly today. Lost a lot of money. Well, did you sell? If you didn't sell, you lost nothing. Keep in mind, when you don't sell it, so if your stock goes into the red, you haven't lost anything. It's what we call an unrealized loss. Now, and this is the whole thing. Some people, when they see that, they assume they've already lost it. And then they're like, all right, I'm just going to stop the bleeding. And they sell. Well, the second you sell, it is a loss. It's now a real loss. So you got to be careful the way you look at it. Now, the market will have times when things go down. There'll be times when your stuff goes into the red. To be honest, that's the time when you add more. And the reason you add more is it averages it down so that when the stock market is doing much better and you're in that profit area, you've got more profits than if you had just sort of stood there staring at the red market and hiding from it. Yeah, you got to be. I always like to look at that viewpoint that red markets are not bad. I mean, especially if you've got money to deploy. If you have money to deploy, and you get up and you look at the market and everything's nice and deep in the red, and if anything, you should be rubbing your hands together and going, "Oh boy, this is going to be a bit of a shopping spree." So that's the way I look at it. Chad, grab some chips and buy the dips. Collect the divvy and and chill. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Zyborg. Let's see. I lived a half block from the Rideau Canal in 1988, went skating every weekend, back when life was simple. Now I just sit in front of a screen, swearing at prices that don't follow the technicals. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. It's, at least you're not screaming at other people like, on the ice. It's like, you're going too fast. Slow down. Let's see, Scratch. Not a member, but I do appreciate being invited over. Yeah, well, yeah, I accidentally made it public. But that's fine. Like I said, you know what? Everybody, it's a bonus for everybody. Muggsy says, welcome, everyone. Mario says, thanks. And yeah, Mario, see, you're not a channel member. So there we go. That's how come you're here. At first, I was like, what's going on? But that's cool. The go-to goat. Steve says, I won. I never win anything. Thanks, Scratch. Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations, Steve. Always good to see winners. Hope AP.UN isn't on RMAX or MREL, since ensure someone might have the ETFs. Well, I do have RMAX. I don't know. We can take a look, though, guys. Let's do that. Let me just open up a new window here. Let's see here. I don't have them saved yet. I should have them. I'll save them this time, though. Let's just go to Google. RMAX ETF. Here we go. There we go. And now I'm going to drag it over to my little ETF folder. There we go. Oh, RMAX. There we go. All right, let's take a look. Let's see if they have AP. I hope they don't. But they might. They might. Let's see, holdings. All right, let's take a look here. DRPLSREQIX. Well, if they do, they do, right down here. But it's one of their lowest holdings. So right now, 4.7% is AP-U. So Yeah, and you know what? When they rebalance, I wouldn't be surprised to see them either drop them or at least lower them more. So they do have them, though. I was hoping they didn't. I kind of was hoping. Scratch says, if that makes you happy, guys, it makes me happier. I'm not a lyrical guy, and English is my second language. All right, fair enough. Um, oh, French has to be your first because I'm pretty sure you're from Montreal. I think Scratch. Chad says, have 10K cash in my RRSP. Any suggestions what to buy, or should I just top up what I have? That's a good question. That is a good question. Depends on what you have, right? That's the way I look at it. My big thing with your RRSP, don't worry about income. Don't worry. Just worry about whatever's going to grow the most. So the biggest total return, biggest bang for your buck. That's usually the way to go in your RRSP because it's all going to be taxable when you eventually pull it out. YouTube has replaced my television subscriptions. Yeah, absolutely. Um, YouTube has definitely replaced the television for me. And let's see, I've noticed VFV has only been losing money since November due to stronger Canadian thinking, switching a portion to VTS. Your thoughts? Huh. Let me take a look. I haven't looked at VTS in a long time here. Let's take a gander. Whoops. All right, here we go. Vietnamese. Are we sure that you're talking about this one? I just want to make sure. VTS, Vietnamese Energy. I don't think that's the right one. Testing. Just clarify it for me. Clarify it, and we'll take a look here. Chat. Have Hydro One, Microsoft, SCHD, SCHG, SCHY, TELUS, VDY, Waste Management, Walmart, and SCC. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good group in there. Of course, I think out of all of them, I'm very partial to VDY. But you know what? It's a lot of good companies. It's a lot of good companies in there. Microsoft is also another one that I don't think you can go wrong with. All right. OIGG is here. Hello. Hey, how are you doing? Looks like Air Canada had record earnings, Nive. And I was mentioning that earlier, Tom. Tom, did you get in? Did you get in on on Air Canada? I didn't. I had everything tied up, but I was able to throw 300 shares at it. So I at least am going to get something, I think. All right, Sylvester still alone. Why are you called Mountain Finance? Okay. Initially, when I first launched the channel, I was trying to find a name for the channel. So I initially called it Financial Brew because I love coffee. I love coffee a lot. Although tonight I'm actually drinking a Coke Zero. Whoops, right there. There we go. But yeah, I called it that, and it just didn't fit right. It didn't fit right. So I needed a new name. I just needed something I think that was more reflective. So my last name is Mountain, and it's a finance channel. So Mountain Finance. Bang, boom. There we go. So yeah, that's where the name came from. Scratch, because our portfolio will rise to the top. Lance, do you prefer to invest in individual sectors with ETFs like XUT, XEG, XMA, etc., or bundle them all in XIC? I have broad market ETFs in our RSPs and individual sectors in TFSA for growth. So in the challenge, when you look at the challenge, you'll actually see it's a lot more individual sector than broad. So, well, interestingly enough, in the challenge, I have XUT, XCG, XMA. Those are part of my growth section. So yeah, I would say a lot of individual, but there are some that are cross. Like I've got HHIC. I was going to say I also have HHIS, but that's pretty much tech. So yeah, it's a little bit of both, but I would say more heavy towards individual sectors. Stan, I'm here as well, but I'm working hard. All right, nothing wrong with working hard. Oh, XST. All right. All right. There we go. That's better. All right. So yeah, XST. I like XXT. Actually, I have this one in the challenge as well. So this is your your capped consumer staples index. So this is going to give you, for one, this is a defensive sector. So it gives you access to things like Loblaws. Dollarama would be in this sector as well. So I like this sector. It's a very defensive sector. I think it's a good sector, especially if you go when we go into a bear market. This is one of these sectors that will have more green days than a lot of other sectors. So yeah, no, I like this. I like this as well. Now, what was it that you were getting rid? Was it VFV that you were getting rid of? So the one downside, I think, from that is that you are losing access to the S&P 500. Because I will tell you right now, this one here, XST, I believe most of the things they're holding are Canadian. So you're losing one sort of sector, so one part of your diversification. So you want to sort of consider that, or maybe you already have that duplicated in other ETFs. So that might be something to think about. But at the same time, maybe you don't want to invest in America. Some people don't, and there's nothing wrong with that. So this is definitely I like this ETF quite a bit. All right. Let's see, Canadian oil, it is so ready to break out of a big falling wedge, turn that 10K into 100K. Like I said, I'm very bullish on Canadian oil for sure. Shout out to Coke Zero. Thanks for the response. Hey, not a problem. Not a problem. Tom says I did get in about 45K. So 2,259 shares. Everybody, lunch is on Tom tomorrow. Scratch. Coke Zero was presented by the Mountain Finance Channel live on CNN. There we go. Yeah, I just happened to mention it. No promo, no promo. Hey, it's free preview week at Mountain TV. Yeah, it's a like I said, it was a mistake. I made an error. I'm supposed to turn. It's actually kind of funny. So when I set this up through StreamYard, it won't give me the option. So I have to remember to go into YouTube later and change it. And I totally forgot. I'm just like, quite literally, we were, what, 15, 20 minutes into the stream? And I was just like, oh. And that's fine. I don't mind. Niece, hey, welcome back. I did hear that trade agreement broke down between USA and Canada. Yeah. So for me, it will be a Red Friday of through. Yeah, there's so much. I don't know what it is. Donald Trump is just, I. It's kind of weird. Like I always wonder what exactly is his motivation with Canada. Yes, you scare us, and sure, it might help you get a better deal. Fantastic. That's fine. But I think, you got to look at it this way. He's a real estate guy. I think he really wants new territory, one way or another. So, and I think he's got a few different things, and he kind of rotates. Like, it's like, okay, maybe I can get Greenland, maybe I can get Panama, maybe I can get Canada. And I think he really does. I think he wants to sort of end his presidency saying, "Look, I actually expanded the country." That's what I think he's after, but it's hard to say. It's hard to say. It could just be part of his, riling things up so that he can control the deal. Because that's kind of what he does anyway. Oh, Lance says, let's see, I have XMA too, but I also XETM as it gives different exposure. XETM has more exposure to lithium, copper, nickel, cobalt, rare earths. Yeah, I do like that. I you know I like them both. I like them both. You know, and I honestly, in this market, I honestly think both are both are pretty much winners. So you could go either way. Absolutely, especially depending on your preference. Hello, Jan. Let's see. I pay for YouTube. I don't get any ads on any videos unless the YouTube person has sponsors and does them themselves. I don't watch some channels because they do too many. Yeah. Yeah, I mean there are some like, now one of the things you can do, and I love this, is that if there's like an embedded sponsor where they, like let me tell you about Brilliant. Um, as soon as they go into the spiel, and it's going to be like that might be 30 seconds, maybe it's a minute that they do. Um, there's actually it usually gets marked by YouTube so that you can just hit your click button to advance, and it will shoot right to the end of that commercial. So that way, there you don't have to watch it unless you really, unless you're, trying to provide support. But here's the thing: if it's an embedded, and I'll say this, if it's an embedded like that, it means that that sponsor paid to have it embedded. So they don't know if you skip over it. It's not a situation. Whereas, if you got ads at the beginning, if you skip the ad because, it's like, I don't want to watch that, and you skip it, that YouTuber usually doesn't get paid. So that's kind of the difference. But if it's embedded, you can skip it, and they've already been paid. All right, Lance, let's see. I wanted HLIT, Hura, and COP, but I went with XMA and XETM with the idea that it would be easier to invest in two things instead of three. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Nee says, I am glad Canada stands up for itself, but for a short or little longer time, I will feel it like the rest of you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I would hate, and I will say this right now. Well, technically, we only really have two political leaders. Like, we have three parties. So the NDP currently doesn't have a leader, but there's two people in running for it. But of the two parties that have leaders, so we got Carney and we got Poilievre, both of them will stand. I think both of them would stand up to Trump. No hands, ifs, or buts about it. So that's one of the things I do like. No matter who wins, we're not going to bend over, and just give up for the United States. Lance, Trump would claim the moon if he could. Actually, now that I've said it, yeah. I could see him do it. I could see him doing it. Don't go down the Trump rabbit hole. You may not make it back. Yes. And that's the thing. That's the thing. The members live stream, is the new market bell closed since you have not set an alarm yet? I'll just enjoy tonight's show until you get more corporate. Oh, I don't know how corporate I'll get. I mean, to date, I've had two sponsors. So I've done a couple of videos for Evolve, and I've done a couple of videos for 9Point. Um, you know, 9Point though, I'll tell you, they know how to treat you right. So when I signed up to do 9Point, they sent me a gift basket. I was like, ooh, Evolve didn't send me a gift basket, but yeah, 9Point did. Yeah, they've been very, I really enjoyed 9Point, I think. And it's actually really funny, guys, because when 9Point started doing income ETFs, I know the first time, actually, one of you guys brought it up in here, and I was just like, not sure about 9Point. I don't really know them. They don't have a history yet. But having had an opportunity, of course, to witness what their funds have done since they've come out, having a chance to talk to some of their developers, I've changed my tune quite a bit on them, and that's fine. I always look at it this way, and this is something, guys, in investing, heck, in life, never get yourself stuck on an opinion, because the smartest way to go, I think, in life is, have an opinion, but listen to the other opinion, and then make a judgment. Make a judgment on whether or not there's some credibility in what you're hearing, because maybe somewhere in the middle, that might be the actual truth in between the two. And I have no problem adapting. I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. I always, in a way, I kind of like it, because when I'm wrong, it means, ooh, I got something now I can go work on. I got something I can learn. So that's not a bad thing. All right, let's see. XST fees too high for my liking. All right, fair enough. Yeah, 1.16. Um, and let's see. Lance says, do you find the higher MER of some of the cover call ETFs to be worth it? Some of them are well over 1-ish%. XDiv is 0.11, but has a lower yield, but more stable growth. I have a different opinion of of fees. Now, some people get obsessed over fees. I don't, and I'll tell you why. I like to look at what the fund's doing. I like to look at the total return. I like to look at what the income is. If I'm happy with what I'm getting from that fund, I don't care how much fees are happening behind the scenes. Obviously, if those fees are way too high, and there's another fund that's doing it with less fees and giving me better returns, well, obviously I'll go with that one. But for me, fees are not a give all, break all, because I know that there are things. So for example, if you're going with anything that provides leverage, so if your fund has 25% leverage, where do you think the interest on that leverage goes? It goes into the fees. Of course it does. And I've heard people say, oh, well, I just invest in regular companies because then I pay no fees. No, you do pay fees. You just don't. It's just not called fees. It's called operating costs. So everything costs money to operate. And you got to realize that that's all part of parcels. Some people like ETFs, you do get to see what you're paying. And you could rightfully argue, well, okay, yes, but all of the underlying stuff they're holding, that all of those other hidden fees are in those. So yeah, of course they are. But you are paying for a service. You're paying to not have to look after it. You're paying to not have to balance it. And especially for a new person, if you're new and you come in, there's no way you're going to be able to balance your portfolio as well as somebody who does it professionally for years. You may get there and it could be a learning. That's one of the things I usually will tell people, like if you're brand new to investing and you're especially somebody who's young, it's like, just put your money in an ETF for now, or maybe a couple of ETFs. So maybe a VFV, maybe an XEQT, something like that. Just let that do itself while you learn. And then as you learn and you feel like you want to, start playing a bit more, then you can start looking at what you're going to do with your portfolio. You can start guiding it to where you want it to be. But while you're learning, let's get your money into something that's going to be stable, make you money. And to me that makes a lot of sense. All right, let's see here. Chad says I try to cap the fees at 0.6% is my max unless it really performs. But that's the thing, right? If it performs, then the fees can be worth it. Let's see, 9Point looks like a great team. I am not into ETFs yet, but I do like their projections. Yeah, no, they're really good. And the thing about 9Point, so when we look at a lot of the other companies that are out there, they tend to, well, a lot of them we'll compare Evolve. Evolve is working towards these ultra yields. We're talking very aggressive at the money covered calls. 9Point, they don't want to lose all the upside. And that tends to be a theme in their company. So they tend to try to keep things a little bit out of the money. So that way there you are getting upside in there as well. So you're getting, and that's the thing, if you're a dividend or if you're a growth income investor, then that's perfect. So they do have some really good philosophies that I really appreciated hearing it. And quite literally, guys, when the interview I did with the two guys over at NPS, so over at 9Point, we probably after that video stopped, after I stopped recording, we quite literally talked for almost a half an hour after that. And I almost kicked myself because I didn't have any of that recorded because there was so much really good information in that part. Jan says, I lost on NGD again today, so I just sold it and bought some LLY and LMT, and they are a lot more solid at this time. I am hoping they did slide some at the end of the day. Oh, yeah. And that's, yeah, well, when you're learning, like I know in your case you're learning how to swing trade, so sometimes that will happen. At least, as long as you had a good exit plan and you didn't get to a point where you let it fall much further than you wanted to before you kind of bailed out. So I'm hoping you didn't take too big of a loss on that. Niece says, I like 9 Point. I have NPS, but can't get their ETF. EU rules trying to protect idiots that don't or should or shouldn't be investing. There we go. Yeah, yeah. Well, at least I mean NPS is pretty good. Let's see here. I like Vanguard and Charlie Schwab. All right. Ian says, now my daughter called and I had to pause for 40 minutes watching at 2x. Oh no. Lisa, I am not a fan of the liberal ideology or MSN at all, but I do still watch it a little bit. I watch both left and right, even though I definitely lean to the right. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, politically, I'm what you would call a small c conservative. Um, I'm right of center, and I like it there. But I think I'm close enough to center that, I don't mind. I can look at the left. I can look at the right. You know, there are things that the right says that I love. There are things that the left says that I like. Um, it's kind of one of those situations where I try to look at the big picture. Back in the day, though, I mean, it was kind of, yeah, I guess it's a long time ago now in Canada, but a long time ago it used to be that you had the NDP being that core left. The Liberals were technically supposed to be central. Um, and then, of course, the Conservatives were on the right. Now, the Conservatives have gone a little more right than they used to be. Um, the Liberals have gone more left, but now with Carney has pulled them back closer to the center. Um, the NDP, I think they've gone. I think they've always been pretty far to the left. So, and they still are. So it's kind of that interesting thing. But yeah, no, the Conservative Party used to be actually a lot closer in a way. If you look at Carney would have fit into the old conservative, the PC party, so Progressive Conservatives before they merged with the Reform Party. So that was the thing. When the right gets split, there was like the Reform, you had Preston Manning and the Reform Party, and they eventually merged with the Progressive Conservatives. There was a small group of them, though, that formed their own PC party and tried to bring back, but it never really caught on. But it did take the Conservative Party a little further to the right. So I don't know. I always have. It's kind of an idealistic dream that we can get a lot more sort of cross-party work and get more cooperation. It never happens. I always want it to happen, but it never does. And I know that. I know that. But I'm an optimist. I'll still keep hoping. Ian says, could either you talk faster now or I listen slower now? Normally I can watch at 2x, no problem. Kind of hard today. I'm actually, I'm in chill mode. I'm in chill mode. Because, even though all of a sudden this turned into a public one, I'm like, well, you know what? The public's going to get the chill experience. So this is my late night. Now, mind you, next Wednesday, when we have the 10,000 sub celebration, I'll be bringing the energy. No worries for that one. Jan, I also bought Deer for something different. It's been solid, but it's dropped 2 this afternoon. Not as much though. It may be okay. I do like Deer. I like Deer. I like Deer and Cat. Let's see. Scratch. If we are in a commodity bull market, you could get burned if you try to play the short time. Better hold your position and ride the train if it makes sense for you. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. The leftist mindset bothers me, but I watch it anyways. I'm not going to pretend I never leave the echo chamber. I'll hear out the other side. Yeah, okay, fair enough. And that's what I always say. It's like, you know what? I never say to somebody like, if you're right and there's a left opinion, I'm not going to say, hey, you have to embrace that left opinion. No, no. I think you should listen to it and then decide. And you might listen to it and say, yeah, okay, that's a little wackadoodle. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But at least if you listen to it, then you can actually have a conversation, and maybe you can lead that left person over to your opinion. Who knows? It depends on if, and this goes both directions, because, a lot of people look at it and say, oh, yes, the right won't listen to the left. And it also goes the other way. The left doesn't really listen to the right. So it does work both directions for sure. And I being in the, being much more central, I can see it clearly going back and forth. Pierre says, SHHI from 9 Point and it's not doing well. Um, that's one I'm not really familiar with. Let me take a look. SHHI here. Oh, yeah. It's a single share. So I'm always worried about the single share ones. And yeah, if you have a single share one, um, especially right now, I mean, obviously, if the underlying asset is absolutely tanking, doesn't matter who has a single share ETF on it. I don't like the single shares that much. And it's actually funny that they were actually kind of critical of the single share ones themselves. Like, but what can I say? Let's see. Carney is left-minded, just not as left as Justin Trudeau. Oh, yeah, yeah. Carney is much more right than Trudeau was. Let's see, but XST only has 10 funds. Just buy the underlying companies. It's only 10. There you go. Up to 56 holdings in my accounts. Lots to keep up with. 10 would be easy peasy. All right, and Yiggy says, I hope my 3,500 shares of Air Canada pays off tomorrow morning. Need to pay for an all-exclusive next month. Inclusive next month. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. All right, guys, we're almost at. These only go about an hour, but let me get caught up to you guys here before we cycle out of this. How long have you been swing trading? I am working towards retiring young, but would like to swing trade on top of other forms of income. Oh, is it 4 or 5 years, something like that? But yeah, it's been a little bit of time. Well, it wasn't all like it initially started as day trading and then transitioned into swing trading. All right, let's see. Actually, we already read that one. Scratch. Pretty sure that politics change with the bigger economics trends. Politics is just a reaction, not the cause. Understand the cycles in politics is just noise at some point. Sometimes it is, yeah. And you know what? And that's the thing. Sometimes politics is just exactly that, just simply noise. I'll agree with that 100%. What is your opinion about current state of CSU? I am all read on this for a while. Constellation Software. This is, once again, going back to AI. So AI is a transformative technology, but here's the problem. So you've got a company like Constellation Software. Well, software is in the title. They're providing, they provide software. They provide software to people, companies. And now we're at a point where a lot of companies can sort of look and say, you know what, we can just do this ourselves using AI. So that becomes a problem, and that becomes a big fear that people have. Whether or not companies have even started doing that, it's still a fear, and that's causing a lot of fear in investors, causing, of course, their price to drop. Now, and also Constellation also has a double whammy. They had a very their CEO. Everybody loved this guy. He's stepping down, so there's that as well. That's caused a little bit of turmoil at the same time. But here's what Constellation needs to do. They need to embrace AI. They need to incorporate it into their software options to make them into something that people can't just quickly, write a prompt at their desktop to duplicate. And that's how they could then sort of, stymie the whole bleeding that they're having. And that'll certainly get them back on track. Now they've got to do it. I don't know if they've done it, but they are very smart people over there. So I'm hoping that is what they're doing, or that they're working on it, because I mean, they broke 5,000 in the summer. I mean, was it the summer? Well, sometime early last year. Well, actually, now I have to look. I have to look now. When the heck was it? Let's see here. And I'm just going to let's pull up the 1 year. Yeah, here it was. It was close to the summer. It was May. So in May, but even in the summer, they were still above. So yeah, even here in July, they were still above 5,000. So that's a pretty epic fall. Like you've cut your market cap in half. in a very short time. So, and when you're talking about a market cap, um, and what is their market cap? It's pretty big. 48. So right now their market cap is $48.75 billion. So that would mean they were probably almost $100 billion company. And that's cut in half. So yeah, it's definitely not a good situation. So they need to get that under control sooner than later. And then Lance says, yeah, day trading is too much work for me. Swing trading over 2 to 4 weeks is perfect for me. Perfect. All right. So anyway, guys, this is our this is our community member live stream. Welcome to all the non-community members. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was fun. So I guess I can say this for everybody. We're back tomorrow. We're back tomorrow. We got a market close tomorrow. That's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. I can't see what I can't wait to see what this market does tomorrow. And and those of us on the Air Canada watch, I cannot wait to see what happens there as well. So huge shout out as well, and a thank you to Scratch on our way out, because he dropped 5 gifted subs. That's like a champion. Scratch is a champion. All right, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day, and bye-bye.